Hello and welcome to Take Six. I'm streaming executive producer Thomas Mates. It is Thursday afternoon. Shana Tova to all my fellow Jews out there. We're getting started today with a look at the weather. Of course, we are all paying attention to the Gulf, although things are maybe improving for us. I'll let meteorologist Michelle Morgan be our guide to all things tropics and weather today. Michelle, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Yes, let me be your weather guide for today.
Please, Weather Wonder Woman herself.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. Rain chance is not as high today. So many of us were getting a little break. We have some dry air that's beginning to work itself into our area, not the entire area. Rain chances are about that moderate level, especially over our southern county, so Osceola County, Brevard County. We'll see the showers and storms as we go through today, and then showers and storms pretty spotty over Orange County, Flagler, Seminole, Marion County, Lake County, those areas as we go through the rest of your Thursday. So as we take a look at the radar, tracking pockets of heavy rain near Palm Bay, Grand Valkyria, and also staying well south of Kissimmee. But notice how those reds and oranges, that's where the heavy rain is located. So we'll continue to see this setup as we go through your Thursday as well as your Friday. So zooming things out here, you can see looking pretty clear across central Florida, except those spots that I just showed you. And here's why. As we take a look at the setup, water vapor imagery showing a little bit of that dry air to the north, beginning to slowly filter in across our northern counties. But there is a stationary front that is draped over our southern counties. And because of that, it's going to keep things unsettled as we go through today, meaning showers and storms for those areas. Temperatures right now, it is hot, a little bit humid, 85 in Leesburg, Claremont, 88 in Orlando, New Smyrna at 86, and Cocoa Beach at 87 degrees. Now, rain chances, as I mentioned before, pretty low over a majority of the area, but elevated in Kissimmee at 50% and 60% if you live out in Lakeland. Forecast for today, rain chances pretty low at 30%. We'll see a daytime high of 91 degrees. If you don't see the rain, you'll see partly cloudy skies. But your highs for today above average by a few degrees, 91 in Orlando, the Villages, Wildwood, 89 in Kissimmee, and we're looking at upper 80s along our coast. Keep in mind that the winds will be pretty gusty along our coastal spots if you are planning a beach day later on. So, as you take a look at your clouds and rain forecast, we'll continue to see showers and storms developing across the area. As we head into the 5, 6 o'clock hour, most of the shower and storm activity beginning to shift out to the west. Many locations that have seen the rain will continue to dry out, and then those clouds continuing to clear, so I expect mostly clear skies, but we may see a few isolated showers and storms early Friday morning over Osceola and Brevard counties. As we take a look at the tropics, I have great news to report. That area that many of us were very concerned about, that was the Gulf of Mexico. At one point, the National Hurricane Center highlighted that area with a 50%. Now we're down to a 30%. Now we are looking at this tropical wave. It is pretty broad. We have showers and storms, very unorganized, very messy. It is going to continue to run into some wind shear. That is your upper level winds, and then eventually interact with a front. So, all of these factors will keep it from turning into something strong. Great news. But as we head into your Monday and Tuesday, a lot of models are suggesting that that front is going to funnel tropical moisture into central and south Florida. And some of us could see periods of heavy rain during that time frame, which will increase the flooding threat. We'll have to continue to watch that. Now, as we take a look at what else is happening across the tropics, I am looking at two named storms. We have Leslie, that is expected to become a Category 1 hurricane later on this weekend. And then we have Tropical Storm Leslie, excuse me. And then we have Hurricane Kirk that is right ahead of it. That is our third major hurricane of the season. It's a Category 3 hurricane at the moment. But thankfully, none of them will really bother anyone in the next coming days. It's going to stay out over the open Atlantic and continue that northerly and then northeasterly path. But I do want to mention, even though Hurricane Kirk is thousands of miles away from us, it is going to kick up our surf as we head into the weekend. So expect strong rip currents, dangerous rip currents. We could see our waves between 6 to 8 feet as we go through Saturday and Sunday, and it is going to create a dangerous surf zone. So again, keep that in mind for the weekend. Here's a look at your 7 day: 91 today, 30% chance for rain and storms, 89 tomorrow, also 30%. We're going to keep low rain chances into the weekend, and then rain chances beginning to slightly go up into the 50-60% range as we head into the upcoming work week. So, Thomas, not an awful forecast. I'm
Hmm.
very excited and very happy, thankful that, odds are decreasing for a tropical system developing in the Gulf of
Yeah.
Mexico.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we no one wants it. I mean, the chance of more rain and potentially torrential rain, as you said, is
Mhm.
certainly not great for us. And we know those
Mhm.
trouble spots around the area that have seen more than their fair share. But it's definitely
Mhm.
better that we're maybe getting it as this disorganized mess than anything
Mhm.
severe or
Sure.
strong.
Yep.
Absolutely. Plus, the
Absolutely.
next name storm is Milton, I believe.
It's Milton.
Yeah, no one wants to get hit by a Milton. That's just embarrassing.
That's my grandfather's name.
Oh my goodness. The same thing happened when I tried to pull this joke with Samara the other day. She's like, "Oh, I have a Milton in my family," and I'm just like, "Oh, well, here I am, putting my foot in my mouth and embarrassing myself in front of all the Miltons out there."
No, it's all good.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know you were in early for Candace, so I'm going to let you go and get on with your day. Thank you so much for joining us.
Bye. Have a good one.
You as well. All right, we're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, we'll be speaking with New 6 investigator Mike DeForest. He's taking a look at Amendment 3. That's the effort to legalize marijuana in the state of Florida for recreational use for adults. We'll have much more on that story coming up right after about a 2-minute break. Welcome back to Take 6. It is 12:41. This afternoon, we are taking a look at Amendment 3. That is going to be coming up on the November ballot. That is the amendment that could potentially, if passed, legalize recreational marijuana for adults in the state of Florida. To get some more info on this, what the amendment says, and how your vote whether you vote up or down on that, what that would mean for us here in the Sunshine State, we are joined by News 6 investigator Mike DeForest. Mike, how are you doing today?
Real good, man. This is such a controversial topic. I was just
Mm-hmm.
thinking about it, how you've got, even within political parties, you've got
Yes.
Republican Governor Ron DeSantis, who is opposed to legalizing marijuana for recreational
Mm-hmm.
use. And then you've got Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump, who's in support of it. And I think you just see that bipartisan controversy
Yeah.
where whenever people are talking about this amendment. And lots of opinions out there. A lot of folks blowing smoke about this. You may hear some misinformation. I hear a lot of legitimate information, and we kind of wanted to get into the weeds, pardon me with that, and dig into this topic as voters get ready to head to the polls and decide this very important issue. So here's a piece on it.
If approved by voters, Amendment 3 allows adults 21 years or older to possess, purchase, or use marijuana products and marijuana accessories for non-medical personal consumption by smoking, ingestion, or otherwise. The amendment allows medical marijuana treatment centers and other state-licensed entities to acquire, cultivate, process, manufacture, sell, and distribute such products and accessories.
That means Floridians could not grow marijuana at home. Only state-approved companies like TruLeave, which currently provides medical marijuana in Florida, will be allowed to cultivate it.
They actually can get safe product versus the risk of getting something that's laced with fentanyl on the street. So that's why we're so strongly in favor of passing adult use.
The amendment makes no mention of where marijuana can and cannot be smoked. While some believe state lawmakers or local leaders could later implement smoking bans in public places like beaches or parks, opponents believe such restrictions would prompt legal challenges.
You're violating my constitutional right to smoke pot where I want to. So no, they can't. And that's the problem with the constitutional amendment. You have to be very careful when you're making decisions on voting yes or no on constitutional amendments because they will forever be enshrined as written.
Amendment 3, like all constitutional amendments, needs 60% of the votes to pass. If that happens, it will go into effect in the middle of next year. Mike DeForest, News 6.
And Thomas, we've posted a lot more information about this topic on our website, clickorlando.com. We know people are very passionate about this one way or the other, and sounds like based on some of the polling I've seen, it's going to be a very close vote that we won't know until election night which way this may go in Florida.
Yeah, and like you said right beforehand, this has both bipartisan support and bipartisan people who are against it. Even you mentioned the Republican side of things. On the Democratic side of things, at the presidential level, President Biden has never come out in favor of completely decriminalizing marijuana, but then presidential candidate Bernie Sanders has, every time he has run, he has been very much for ending a prohibition on recreational marijuana. So it is definitely a divisive topic, regardless of party affiliation.
And I think you're seeing both sides pull out why they say that they're right, either for or against this. For example, supporters point out that this will be taxed and it will generate millions of dollars in sales tax revenue for the state of Florida. Others say, though, that actual tax will now make marijuana more expensive than what you might get on the street and could drive people into the black market where they may get unsafe product, possibly laced with fentanyl. But then you've got supporters of this, including TruLeave, we'll get into that in a moment, who say, but yeah, what we're opening up is safe product. You can come into one of our retail stores, it's been tested, and you're guaranteed to get something safe versus something on the street. Speaking of TruLeave, it's really no secret looking at the funding of this. So far, more than $100 million has been raised by a PAC to get this on, or a political committee to get this onto the ballot. And TruLeave, which currently is a provider of medical marijuana here in Florida, has contributed nearly all of that, about 92% of that. So you'll hear opponents, they use the word monopoly, although when you drill down it, they're just saying that this is going to benefit the existing medical marijuana corporations that are already doing this, doing business here. And as we pointed out there, you're not going to be able to grow this at home. Your local flower shop who may decide to want to get into the marijuana business technically would have to go through the state to get a license, and that's a very complicated and, at least right now, a very expensive process. So it definitely would allow these big corporations to continue selling it, except now to a wider customer base, and not being able to do it at home, which is just another one of the particulars that both sides are drilling in on this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I lived in Oregon for a few years, actually right around the time they had themselves legalized marijuana, the state. And, it's one thing that the people that I know that law enforcement there has said is that just because it's legal doesn't mean that black market goes away. So to the point of, they're saying, oh, we're offering this safe product, but, costs might still drive people to that other side. I think that's an important bit of information for voters to consider when making their decisions, is that, yes, it would be legal, at least at the state level, but again, that illegal aspect of it doesn't necessarily just disappear, certainly not overnight.
And there are a lot of unknowns about this that nobody can give you a straight answer on, and it's just one of those we're going to have to wait and see what shakes out if this passes. For example, what is the cost for prosecutions, criminal prosecutions? On one hand, now you'll probably be spending less money prosecuting people for using products like this. On the flip side, you may see an increase in prosecutions for people who are driving under the influence. So talk about healthcare and how that's going to affect people. So there are a lot of unknown costs or benefits, and those we just don't know. And that's why a lot of folks are looking at this closely before checking one of those two boxes on their ballot.
Definitely. And, one of the things you mentioned was potentials for regulation. We know in the past, for instance, when the medical marijuana law passed here, or amendment passed here in Florida previously, it took a while for all the regulations around that to settle out, as the legislature initially said, no, there cannot be smokable marijuana, and then that ended up getting overturned. So is there, you had mentioned smoking in public, are there any other potential laws or regulations that have been bantied about that you're aware of?
We just don't know what that's going to look like. Now, there are some who will, including some lawmakers themselves, who believe that they can pass laws to try to, if medical marijuana is approved for recreational use, that they could try to limit it, say, like we talked about the smoking bans. But as you heard one of the opponents there say, this is a constitutional amendment. And we've seen this in the past where the specific language that's put into our Florida Constitution is enshrined. And I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to say which way it's going to go, but
Of course.
you are definitely going to have legal challenges of someone who may say that, no, you can't prevent me from smoking, and now it's right there in the Florida Constitution, my constitutional rights. So at minimum, you can expect legal challenges from one side or the other if this passes.
Certainly. And you'll have much more on this story tonight coming up at 6, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
6 o'clock and clickorlando.com.
And clickorlando.com. But just before we go, just bottom line for people, what does a yes vote mean? What does a no vote mean? I know you had mentioned it in there, but just so that people are perfectly clear as they're making their own decisions about this.
Yes means you are approving medical marijuana recreational marijuana for adults 21 years or older, that you can possess it and use it. You can't manufacture it. Only licensed facilities, which right now would be mostly the industry that's providing medical marijuana. That could always change in the future, and the state legislature could potentially widen who gets licensed to produce this, but you're not doing it at home.
Gotcha. And a no vote would be that you are just against this, maintaining the status quo.
Status quo.
Status quo. All right. Well, Mike, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing much more tonight at 11. And of course, you can find his full story right now, at least the article, on clickorlando.com/results 2024. Mike, thank you so much for your time.
Catch you later.
All right, excellent. And if any information that you are looking about this upcoming election, go to clickorlando.com. I almost said news6.com. That is not correct. Clickorlando.com/results 2024. We have a wealth of information there. I apologize. A wealth of information there for you to see on a wide variety of topics, including Amendment 3. We'll be having more articles coming up breaking down each of the amendments. Also, voter guides, sample ballots, where you can go to vote, when early voting starts, how to acquire a mail-in ballot. All of that information is available at clickorlando.com/results 2024. One last note before we let you go. The last day to register to vote is October 7th. October 7th, that is this coming Monday. So if you have not yet registered, I highly recommend that you do that. And then you'll be ready as soon as early voting begins later this month. Thank you again so much for your time. We really appreciate you joining us every day. Again, Shana Tova to my fellow Jews out there. Have a happy new year and a sweet new year as well. Thank you so much for your time and have a pleasant day. We'll see you coming up on News 6 at 4.